Spoilers for Avatar 2, A Very Depressed Whale.
Gaming cookie guy.
Entertainment.
So I watched Avatar 2, Let's Get Moist. James Cameron's follow-up to the highest grossing film of all time has been over a decade in the making, and it was fine. Now, don't get me wrong, Avatar 2, Space Titanic has already proven box office-wise why you do not bet against James Cameron. And visually, I think the movie is mostly first class. I just think there was a lot to be desired when it came to the story and the characters of the film, mainly when it came to our principal character, at least the principal character of the original Avatar movie, Jake Sully. Now, I do have a rewrite to pitch that I think would fix some of the issues I had with his character in this film. But as always, before I get into the rewrite pitch for Avatar Book 2 Water, I want to give my usual disclaimer that I just like doing this as a writing exercise. If you did enjoy the movie and the story as presented, I'm very glad that you did. Just think of this as an alternate version, or what it actually is, one man's fan fiction. Now, I don't know about you, but I was pretty disappointed with the usage of Jake's character in this movie. Now, I know he wasn't a wellspring of nuance and intrigue in the first movie, but I had higher hopes for Avatar 2, The Big Blue. I hoped things would be different. Instead, he slotted into more of an archetypical role. That role is what I'm going to call War Dad. Now, yes, he is a dad, and he is a war. But is that all he is? We don't really get any development for him outside of that role. Now, there's plenty of movies to go, and they can still explore his character. I was just kind of hoping we wouldn't have a one-dimensional protagonist in this movie. Now, instead, a lot of the character development, a lot of the time is spent on his kids, primarily his second-born son, Loak, and his adopted daughter, Kiri. Now, Kiri is who they seem to be setting up as the new chosen one of Ewa, which would have been interesting to explore. I think they're probably going to get into that, but they haven't done that yet. They didn't do that in this movie. So my pitch would kind of set the groundwork for where I think they're going. At least this is what I think they're kind of trying to set up. I'd like to have Jake start showing signs of slowing down. Time has passed. He's getting older. Now, he's not an elderly man. If we use Sam Worthington's actual age, he'd be roughly mid-40s. And if we assume the Na'vi age at roughly the same rate as humans, he's not going to be in any bad shape, but maybe slowing down just a step. And right off the bat, we have an opportunity to show this in the first battle scene. If you're planning on sidelining Jake's character for most of the movie anyway, kind of making him just an authority figure to his kids, then why not give him an injury in this scene? Even better, have Jake get probably, I'm thinking, shot in the shoulder when he's trying to rescue Noak. It gives more tension between those two characters. It gives Jake a physical obstacle that he'll need to overcome. This can really be when Jake realizes that his enemy is not slowing down, but he is. He needs to give up this fight and prioritize saving his family as long as he can. Then, just as that battle's ending, we introduce Avatar Miles Quaritch, who can support that theme as kind of a foil by being that faster, stronger version of Jake, essentially, that younger version of him, an enemy that Jake has no choice but to run from. Kind of side note, this doesn't really go along with my thematic pitch, but like, why do the humans still pursue Jake after he's run to the Water Tribe? Wasn't that like their goal, to kill him or make him surrender? Shouldn't the rest of the Na'vi be like kind of like sitting ducks? Like, yes, they still have a leader. They'll still probably be at war with the people, but they lost like their main tactician. We should be cutting to Quaritch's conquest of a lot of the Na'vi tribes rather than cutting to him on this quest to hunt down Jake Sully, who's not taking part in any of the conflict. Now, the reason the Sullys should pop back up on the humans and Quaritch's radar is just because they come into conflict with their operations at sea, not because they're in pursuit of them, but because the humans are eventually going to take control of the whole planet, and Jake's going to have to realize that no matter where he goes, they're eventually going to catch up with him. Anyway, rewinding a bit, focusing on Jake. We now cut to Jake integrating with the water tribe of Na'vi. Not only is he injured now, but he is physically not adapted to live in this environment. But he is, or at least was, the chosen one, and he refuses to show anything less than an outward show of strength, total strength. And so at this point, his character a little bit regresses. He thinks back in more human terms. He thinks, what would he have done on Earth to assist in swimming? Well, he would use technology. We have that today. We have plenty of tools that assist with swimming. And so he could either, assemble these in the forest, have the science team make something up for him, maybe some flippers, or at most some kind of propulsion system, so that he can not only keep up, but still be Jake Sully, still be at the head of the pack, still be the strongest, still be the chosen one. I like the idea, too, of perhaps his oldest son adopting this as well, trying to garner favor with his father. But, of course, Noach would reject this out of some rebelliousness, some perhaps shame. And then Kiri, of course, would reject technology outright, as she's so in tune with Awa and nature. So we have the two older Sullys relying on technology, and then we have Kiri and Noach actually learning the way of water from the locals. We then fast forward to Miles Quaritch versus Jake Sully, the fight in the movie. Now, honestly, I'd probably prefer if we saved this fight for another movie entirely. Allow that tension to grow. There's plenty of ways to split up the two in this kind of disaster without having them actually fight each other face to face. However, if they do have to fight, Jake should not overcome this enemy with strength. Remember, Jake is essentially fighting a younger version of himself. That's kind of what we've been building to. He needs to win this through experience. Now, yes, Colonel Quaritch has even more experience in combat than Jake, but we can say in this version, this iteration of Quaritch, he's become overconfident, cocky. He's defeated so many Na'vi at this point. He can think he's invincible, and Jake can exploit that to win this fight. And finally, all of the hard lessons that Jake has learned over the course of this movie culminate in one scene.
The way of water has no beginning and no end. The sea is around you and in you. The sea is your home before your birth and after your death.
In this scene, Jake and his last surviving son, Noach, are trapped under the boat. In the theatrical cut of this scene, I get it. Jake is tired from a long fight. But I thought it was really out of character for him to just give up like that. And it took me out of what I think really could have been the heart of the movie, the emotional through line, the emotional tie-in for the whole film. I think the scene could have been perfect. Now, typically when I want to do any kind of rewrite, it's usually because I saw a scene and, that one scene, if they just changed it, if they just made it better, it could have sent the whole movie in another direction. It could have been so much better. In this movie, I think this scene is better than what came before it. I don't want to change this scene. I want to give it stronger context so that it means more. This scene is the sole reason I wanted to do this rewrite video at all. So our new context for the scene is this. Jake has been putting up a front of strength for everybody, himself included, because he's scared. He believes he still has to be this chosen one. He's scared not only of his own mortality, but for that of his family. And he's seen it happen. He's experienced the worst. His son has died at this point. He could not save him. Jake's not particularly a strong swimmer, even though by now in the movie his shoulder has mostly healed. He has been using a crutch. He's been using technology. He never embraced the way of water. In fact, this technology could be severing some of his connection with Awa in general. It is with all this weight and baggage upon them that Jake can finally show some vulnerability to his surviving son. And his son believes this self-doubt, and the audience believes it. And it now falls to Noak to build his father back up, to help him to find a true strength and not rely on this facade, this title that he's built up. Jake can learn to embrace the way of water from his son. They can swim to safety, and he can truly see his son as the man he has become for the first time. Well, that's what I would do anyway. So let me know what you think. If you like my changes, if you have some ideas of your own, or if you like the movie as it was, leave all that in the comments. If you liked this video, please leave a like and subscribe. If you hated it, subscribe so you can yell at me when I post the next rewrite. Until then, see ya.